It's okay. It's just us here. Have you ever gotten most of the way through a project? And I'm talking something that you have experience with. You do it for work or a hobby. You've completed projects like this in the past. And yet, there's this overwhelming feeling that comes over you that you're terrible at this and you don't know what you're doing. I do too. I think a lot about how terrible you are at what you do. I'm kidding. Jeez. I made a whole video talking about how I feel like I've been distracted over the last 10 years in making videos. And then suddenly a freelance project falls into my lap, taking up every single bit of my free time and then distracting me for another month. But some good did come out of it. Something happened that I want to talk about. So I'm maybe 70 to 80% of the way done. And I'm reviewing the video and I'm overwhelmed with this feeling that I don't know what I'm doing and I don't want to do it anymore. How can I refund all this money? I suck, this sucks, and I want nothing to do with this ever again. Spoiler alert, the project is done. I did it, I completed it, and everybody loved it. But why though? What was that? I've had this happen before. And I know this happens to other people as well too. It's nothing that's specific to design or creative. It happens in all industries, in all kinds of projects. There's this weird thing that happens when the finish line is basically right there in front of you, and yet there's this weird feeling that comes over you where it's like, this is terrible and I don't know what I'm doing. I think I have an understanding now, at least for me, what it is and what I'm going to do about it in the future. In any discussion that I find about it, there's a couple things that it is distinctly not, and I actually want to talk about that first. What I am not describing is the Dunning-Kruger effect. Now, in case you're not aware of what the Dunning-Kruger effect is, it's basically a cognitive bias where you think you know shit, but you don't know shit. Any sort of subject matter where you study and you learn and you practice and you start to gain experience and then you get knowledge. And over time, as you start gaining more and more of that, your confidence goes up. The specific feature of the Dunning-Kruger effect is this very bizarre spike that happens in the very beginning. You know so little about a thing that you don't even grasp the complexity of it or understand the things that you don't know. So there's this spike of inflated confidence that you have through ignorance. Imagine virtually anybody who will speak confidently on a subject but uses the phrase, do the research, or I'm Elon Musk, or anybody calling what I'm describing the Dunning-Kruger effect. The other thing that is not is imposter syndrome. The actual feeling itself might echo a feeling that we get with imposter syndrome. It could be there simultaneously, and it might even make it worse. You have the experience, and you've even done most of the work, and yet there's this weird feeling that comes over you that you do not know what you're doing. Now that I have a bit more of a reflection on this, I have an idea of what I want to do about it going forward. I operate under the presumption that absolutely nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. It always makes me nervous when you have something complicated and somebody tells you they know exactly what to do. I know there's going to be people on LinkedIn with their 5 exact steps to do exactly the thing that you want to do, even though they don't know what it is that you actually want to do. Anyone who tells you otherwise is a grifter or a liar. They're trying to sell you something, or they don't have enough imposter syndrome. But I'm talking to people that know the solution when they don't understand the problem. So if nobody knows what the fuck they're doing, how does anything ever get done? How would anybody build a house or bake a cake or build Netflix or paint the Mona Lisa? How could I confidently tell a client that whatever video they want to make, I could get it to them? I don't know what that final video is going to be. I don't know what it's going to look like. What I do know is how to start. I know what steps I need to take. I know what to do next. And that's all I know. I don't know what's going to happen 10 steps from now. I don't know if what I'm doing right now is going to work. I don't know if there's going to be a huge problem in the next step. I run into complex problems and solve them. I've made mistakes and fixed them. I know about where I'm going, but I don't know how to get straight to there. I need to just take one step at a time, one step at a time. And I could do a lot of things. You can ask me to do something that I've never done before, and I can, in all confidence, tell you whether or not I could do it. I know enough about vehicle air conditioning systems that I'm not going to help you fix it. I could learn enough about designing a house that I can hand you blueprints. Then it's probably up to code because I did the research. However, it'll likely be haunted. I might not know I'm supposed to delete the ghosts. Like, how we do what we do is process, it's practice, it's craft. There isn't a perfect system. At any moment, a problem can completely stop us. A mistake can destroy progression. And we have to make choices to decide what needs to happen. And even if we had all of our plans laid out, we can do something that completely changes the trajectory of what it is that we're trying to do. When you get to that part of the project, you start bringing elements together. You've been working on things, you've been working on the pieces, and now you're starting to bring them together. This might be the first time that you're kind of able to see the work as a whole thing, and it doesn't quite look right.
What's that? What's that, brother?
You're looking at the work as a whole, and it doesn't look or feel complete. It took 50 steps to get here, and there's still 20 more steps to go, and yet we're judging it based off of something that's done. It's complete. And so how do we fix that? And it's actually really easy. It's to remember that there's 20 more steps and to stop giving a shit about what it looks like. It's not gonna look like a final product. It's not done. Get back into the process. This is part of the craft. You also have fatigue that starts to set in. You've been working on it and thinking about it. Sometimes you just need to walk away and then come back. Similar to fatigue, there's a problem where sometimes we're looking at a very small portion of something. We're concentrating way too zoomed in on one little piece of something. I actually have these moments a lot. I'm so zoomed in on this one little thing that I do not like, and I spend so much time, I start to get frustrated. My head starts to hurt. I probably need to eat something, and I'm refusing to eat anything because I'm like, as soon as I finish this, as soon as I get it right, as soon as this looks good, why don't I look at the bigger picture here? And I look at a large section, and I'm like, what am I fighting over? This looks fine. This looks, what am I doing? Get away from it a little bit, and it leaves you, and whatever it was that you were hyper concentrating on is not going to be there. When I'm making a video, by the time I get to a rough draft, I am most of the way done. I have to pass that segment. I have to go beyond whatever insecurities that suddenly show up when I'm 70, 80% of the way through a project to be able to get to the 95%, to be able to get to the 99%, when I can hand over a rough draft and say, here, this is the thing that you can take a look at. So no, you're not crazy. You're not terrible at what you do. When I said that earlier, I was kidding. I love you. And I think you're brilliant. And if I can offer like any sort of reasonable advice as far as what not to do, I would not seek out getting approval or validation from somebody else. I have 1.5 million caveats to this. Like, this is not really a hard rule for me. But what you don't want is a response from somebody that is purely there to make you feel better about yourself. And talk broadly and openly about this. It could be difficult to really feel like anybody else is going to relate to these problems, but understand that you may know somebody, or somebody on your team, if this is at work, might be going through the exact same thing. They might be feeling the same way, shivering in the corner, thinking that they're the only ones that feel this way. And frankly, if there is somebody who doesn't raise their hand and share that they have also felt this same way, they're probably a grifter and a liar, suffering from imposter syndrome or narcissism. I believe in you. Okay, bye.